guys, it's Hannah from Living Hope Cancer Foundation, and today we're going to make some soup. I love making soup out of leftovers because often I'm not very good at judging how much to make for just Chuck and I, since I've had a big family for all of my life and the boys moved out. So kind of was going to make soup for myself. I eat a lot of soup these days, partially because of my swallowing. And it's a really great way for me to add a lot of veggies to my diet. So I just wanted to show you, I actually cut up a few things so that I would save time and keep the video shorter. But these are all vegetables I bought probably last weekend and haven't used yet. And I try to have a lot of basic veggies when I cook. Plan my meals. I usually have some mushrooms, some kind of zucchini or squash. This is yellow squash, leftover button mushrooms. I actually bought a leek because I was thinking I'd probably make soup this week, and I love the flavor of leek. And then I bought purple kale, which we actually juice every 2 days, so I figured if I don't actually chop and put in something, I will juice it. Then I also had a really sad little bok choy that it's been in my fridge for quite a while. So this one was the better of the two, so I used that. And then I have a fresh onion. It's probably the only thing that's not really left over. The other thing is last night I made hot sausage, chicken sausage, and chickpeas. So I had leftover open canned chickpeas I needed to use up. So I'm actually going to put them in the soup and probably end up blending it. And then yesterday I also made 3 extra sweet potatoes. Because I love, if I'm going to bake sweet potatoes, just to throw as many fit into the dish. And then I have them for leftover. And I often will just cut the skin off and either chop it and saute it or heat it up again like a sweet potato. So I've got a hot pan going here. I'm just gonna drizzle it a little olive oil. And I'm actually gonna throw most of my veggies in at once. So I do quick chops. So I have said this before, but I always love a good sharp knife and a cutting board. Those are the basics. I can't cook without a sharp knife. So I'm going to start by sweating the onion and probably just adding all of these. The squash, and I've got it cranked up pretty high because I just want everything to cook down, caramelize. I'm going to leave this kale for a second. So the nice thing about soup is you just kind of use what you like, and if you don't like kale, don't use kale. If you like spinach instead, swap it out. If you like green squash and not yellow, if you don't like mushrooms, don't use mushrooms. Figure out which veggies you like. You can use green beans. There's so many vegetables in the world, so it's kind of fun to swap things out and get different flavors. And I will likely puree my soup, but you can also leave it chunky, so there's a lot of options. So this is what I do with my sweet potatoes. I just cut off the ends and peel them. So it's an easy way to have extras. And I've actually done this for many years. Even not all my kids like sweet potatoes, but it was something I would eat for lunch as a stir fry or something, or just for myself if I didn't have to cook for other people. So it's a little cheat that I have done a lot, and I love it. And you could even keep them cooked and cold and put them in salad. So they're very versatile. You can also do it with white potatoes, but there's just something about sweet potatoes. And it's funny, I didn't really start liking them until I was in my 30s. So there's hope. I didn't like zucchini when I was a kid either. I didn't like a lot of vegetables or mushrooms. So I always tell my boys that, when they're younger. I'm like, don't worry, you'll like them when you get older. But some of them are still working on that. But it is amazing. Your palate really does change over your life, so it's good to keep trying stuff. So I'm gonna give this a quick stir, and it's already smelling really good. So I'm kind of curious if any of you make soup. What are your favorites? So this week, I actually started my 9th week of chemo on Tuesday, and today is usually my really tired day, so I did a lot of self-care this morning. Actually, we finally have a bathtub in this house, which is exciting, and I took an Epsom salt bath, which I have not gotten to do in years and years. So that's really exciting to be able to do that. And I lit a candle and just played some calm music and put lavender oil in my bath. So that felt really good. And I laid on the couch for a while, and I sat outside for a while because we're in Phoenix and it's like 70 something degrees out. So I really feel good in the sun. So I try to get out as often as I can. And now I'm able to start taking walks because my back's getting a lot better. But when I couldn't, I would just sit out there. But now I also take short walks if I can. Oh, Scotland. That's awesome. I actually grew up in the Netherlands. Well, I shouldn't say I grew up. I was born in the Netherlands and I lived there till I was 5, but grew up in a Dutch household. My mom was like queen of making soup from scratch. So that is one thing I've learned how to do confidently. The thing is, with soup, you can do anything. Like, it isn't really hard to make up stuff. You know, you just kind of, what do you have in your fridge? You know, a lot can go in soup. And if you're going veggies, then there's not a ton of vegetables that aren't good in soup, in my opinion. But there's a few. Anything you can saute, you know, you can throw in soup and it tastes so good. So as it's like starting to sweat down, I do like to saute them a little bit in the pan just for flavor. Because if you throw your broth in right away, then it kind of is just like boiled vegetables, which I don't love. So I love getting the flavor of the saute. I'm just adding a bunch of salt, and I will likely need to add more. Pepper. So if you don't have anything else, salt, pepper, and like garlic powder are king when it comes to seasoning. And I'm pretty liberal with it because you get a lot of flavor that way. I also don't like to oversalt because it's hard to undo it, but I do like the flavor of good sea salt. It's one thing I'm not afraid of salt. We need it in our bodies, especially when it's sea salt. So these are looking really good. They're actually getting really soft. So I'm adding the kale and a sneaky one in there. And then so I've been heating up some chicken broth. I like to use organic, free range if I can. This happens to be Pacific. I'm not too like ridiculous about it, but so I'm kind of just covering enough to cover the veggies. Well, might as well put it all in. What am I going to use that for? And then I'm just going to add the sweet potatoes. So these are already cooked. So that's the kind of neat thing about adding a starch that's already cooked. It goes much faster. There we are. Now I'm going to see if I can get you over here, because that's the bummer part. If you have see? So now we got all these veggies going. So I've got the heat. I'm cranking up the heat. So now I think I'm going to do is add some herbs to it. Let's see if I can put this back. No, last week I was using my other thing and it was kind of following me around the kitchen and getting stuck. So I'm trying a tripod this week. And then I also have the sausage and chickpeas, which if you don't like chickpeas, don't use them. This is leftovers. You could also stick any meat really in there that's cooked. Yeah, because today is kind of leftover soup day. So adding some fresh raw veggies and then leftover things I have in the fridge that really need to get used up because it's just not going to get any younger in my fridge. So let's look. I have thyme. I always like thyme. Thyme smells very good. So it really depends on what kind of flavor profile you want. Again, I like to use plenty. So a good, that was a 1/4 teaspoon. I probably could use more. I have all my seasonings in here. I always like to use parsley. It's like a staple in soup. My mom used to always use fresh parsley, which I don't always have, but we do juice with it, so every couple days I'm out of it. I don't know, let's see, what else do we want to put in there? Do you guys have any seasonings you love to put in soup? I think I might put some oregano in there. Kind of give it a little Italian. Spank that in. All right. So, and I often try to, because I can right now in my life, make dinner, or I guess it's after lunch here. So like make my dinner earlier in the day, especially on days I know I'm gonna be tired, because chemo, 3 days after chemo kicks my butt. That's the day I'm not in bed, but I'm like, please don't schedule anything kind of day. So I'm trying to use like the energy that I have to make food. So this is a good time of day for me to do it. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's beautiful out, and I've got fresh breeze coming in through the window in my kitchen, and so not a ton on my schedule. So I've been trying to just schedule my days so that like my big work days are Monday morning and to Monday all day, and Tuesday morning and Wednesday, and then part of Thursday, and then by then I start winding down and I can feel it. So it's okay. Like that is the way I can work my schedule right now, and because we have a nonprofit and I do a lot of coaching, I could do it from the couch, and it just works. Like we're writing a book, so it's all stuff I can kind of work around how I feel. So this is looking really good, and it's actually starting to bubble. So I don't know if y'all have one of these, but these are the best thing in the kitchen. Immersion blender. So it's got the little blade on it. It kind of eliminates the need to have a blender for soup. Like, you know, when you pour hot stuff in a blender, and then I've had a few episodes of that in my life where it just blew up because it was too hot. So this is great because you just stick it in, and this one happens to be a Cuisinart. It's not a terribly expensive one, but it works really well. I've used it a lot for soup, like pureed soup. Use it for smoothies. Like if I have a large quart jar that's wide mouth, you can stick it in and make smoothies like banana, frozen banana and protein powder. So this one just happens to have a lock on it. Puree. And the veggies are soft enough already. This is how fast soup can be. And the fun part is if you don't like puree the entire thing, then you still have some of your chunks in there. So obviously I don't need to do all of this right now, but it just shows you how quick you can make soup. And like, you know, sometimes I get caught up in like it's so much easier to go to get takeout or like go out to eat, but it's way faster sometimes to make your own food and healthier because you know what's in it. And I use a lot of frozen vegetables too, so that's a good way to skip a step if you don't want to chop anything up. So that's today's fun little soup, and look at it. Beautiful and healthy and delicious. Have a good day.